All right. Welcome, one and all, to another magnificent Terran Tuesday. In fact, the 71st Terran Tuesday. We've done this for 72 weeks. Maybe not all in the row because we took a little break here and then, but it's been 71 weeks. How does it feel, guys?
It
It
feels
feels
awesome.
nice.
Right? And it feels interesting for sure. It's like sometimes I think, man, this time just flies.
I
But our
know.
usual moral officer Gran, unfortunately, ran into what I would consider one of literary's most used
Oh, come
cliches.
on.
What?
Power goes off because a car hit an electrical pole.
No. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no fun, but
No.
I'm sure they're running off the batteries.
No.
But
Yeah.
how are you guys doing today? What's new? We'll start off with you, Snow. How have you been? What's new? What's going on in your literary career?
Well, in my literary, I've actually got a secret side project kind of going. That's something that's unusual for me. So it's because I'm very, very single-minded when it comes to my literary uh pursuits. I it's so hard for me that I actually have a hard time taking time just to read something else. I've been writing 9 books now, and it's taken me probably about 5 years, and it's really, so multiple books a year. And it's kind of like Black Knight. He just burns through it. He's just like, I think I'll make another book, and he does. It takes me everything, and it takes
Woo.
all of my mind to focus on it. So I actually was doing something, and I'll probably announce it after I release it. But I have about a week to write a novel, an actual like 70,000, 80,000 word novel.
Whoa.
7 days. But I actually had the idea come to me finally. It's for a
Uh-huh.
prize that's being given, and I was like, you know what, dude, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And the reason it's working is because I actually have it related to my backstory for Watcher the Damned, and it's not the same characters. There is one character that is found in all the books that she actually shows up, and she is a side character in the main series, but she is very influential in the whole series. And so I was like, wait, I know her story. I can tell this story because it's fascinating, and because I do so much world building that I actually write my world building before I ever do it. And so I have reams of material that I'd never published that I've written up for my world because I have it all X'd out. So wish me luck, because I'm going to try to finish out 70,000 words and actually have it turned in and submitted, and then we'll see what happens with that. But so I'm able to make an excuse for it because I'm actually preparing for the next book. I have Hell
Okay.
Highway, and then I have Arena del Amor, and Arena del Amor actually introduces the after effects of this character's story. So I was like, okay, I'm just writing my backstory. So that's all I'm doing. So so it works for me, but I'm not like
7 days.
who's so good at this, who's just able to write books. Black Knight.
Hmm. Well, in my case, I had the advantage, um, so to speak, of having the exhausted the notes and partial drafts, and in some cases, like almost completed drafts
Uh-huh.
for some of the books, not all, but some of them. And I've
Nice.
also gathered, like you do, um, a bunch of like extra notes and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
like eh, when, just like you Snow just mentioned, that when you know the story, when you know the skeleton of the story, and you know how to construct it, even if you don't have the full skeleton, but you know how to construct it, how to assemble it. You have the pieces, or let's say pieces of the puzzle. You have the pieces in the box. They're like, they're not assembled, but you have them, so you can easily start to assemble them. So yeah.
Yes, that definitely helps. I've been learning the mastery of plotting ahead of time, and it's been a wonderful tool in my arsenal thus far. But today, I thought it would be hilarious and also just generally fun to ask you guys a handful of questions regarding writing that are that are on the exciting side of things. So let me go ahead and create a banner with our first question here.
Uh-oh.
Add banner. And our first question. And we'll start off with you, Black Knight. What's the weirdest thing you've ever Googled for book research, and did it make it into the final draft?
I will give you a choice of 3. Pick a number. 1, 2, or 3.
Oh,
It's not just one weird thing. It's 3. 3 weird things.
Let's go with 2. Going through door number 2.
Door number 2 would be how to dispose of poo in space.
Oh, how fun!
That was, I definitely had some ideas. I had like the basic concept of it, but I was wrong.
Uh-oh.
I was wrong. So now, without sounding too silly, when an astronaut or a cosmonaut goes to space in the spacesuit, I just assume they have like a diaper.
Uh-huh.
No, it wasn't a diaper.
I have.
It's much more painful. Nowadays it's a bit different. Like they have access to advanced synthetic materials that are not irritating the skin and stuff. So they do things a little bit differently. But back in the day, they would shove like a catheter in your wiener.
Ooh.
It's good. And you can imagine that you're floating in 0G, and it's like even in down on Earth, it's not pleasant. But in outer space, it's it's not cool. And then you have like a thing in your rear. So yeah, but that was like the super early days. After that they changed stuff, but that was like extremely weird. And I mean, things when we shove things in our gobs and they get like turned into energy to fuel our bodies. The process, like it has like a beginning and an end. And so even in space you have to like in space you have to help facilitate the process in the space station.
Dude, I can
because the gravity is different, and our bodies are like we are like almost, you can almost say that here gravity helps us like poo and pee, which is normal because we live in like we evolved here. But in space you have almost 0G. Like it's not, we call it 0G, well, especially us who write fiction, all 3 of us, we call it 0G, but it's not like 100% 0G. It's like you still have some gravity even in outer space. You have something, and you have to help. You have to help. And it's like even the early cosmonauts, they had like what was the thing, like they had to endure special training, muscle training, so they could like help the poo get out.
Wow.
It's
actually,
it's weird. It's weird.
yes, I will admit that's weird.
That definitely is top of the totem pole for sure, and one I'm not going to forget anytime soon. I almost regret asking the question, but R.H.
I gave you a
Snow,
choice of three.
R.H. Snow in your fictional universe, in the midst of shaping it up, what is the weirdest thing that you have Googled for your book research, and
Okay.
did it make it into the draft?
Well, first, the world building. This was before COVID, and so I felt kind of comfortable asking, as we didn't have, and I was looking at pandemics, and so I was really careful because I was like, "Holy cow, how am I going to write this?" You know, where it's and looking up the death rate for Ebola, I was like, "What is Ebola?" And for instance, I was basing some of them off of some of the higher rates, Marburg virus, things like that, where they have these enormously high rates of death. And so I was trying to find out that, and then ended up having to research, how does a person die of Marburg Ebola, which is really horrible. You're just basically bleeding out of every orifice. And I was trying not to really look at the pictures. I was like, at the same time, I was like, this is really horrible. Am I going to write about this? And so much of the story is based on that. And I felt later on, because they had the pandemic come in, I was like, are they going to think I did something, like, maybe I was like trying to start, a problem. But my most weird thing that I did, that was actually just for me being really disgusting, that I was like, I can't handle what I'm actually looking at, was I was looking at the rates for decay for bodies and the hatch times for maggots after death. I have a particular in the first book, and it's actually where the Watcher is pursuing Rose, and he comes across a carcass, and he's actually after her because she's run away, and there's only a certain amount of time before this terrible thing, which is a spoiler, is going to happen. And he has to find out how many hours have passed. He doesn't have a way to know what time it is. He doesn't have a means of looking at a watch or anything like that. He has to determine how many hours it's been since he last saw this particular body. And so I had to go into hatching and how many flies there are on a body and what happens when the maggots hatch. And so, because I wanted to make sure that I described it properly, and I've done crime scene before. I've actually done crime scene, but usually I don't get that close. I'm like over there, It's like I do come in. I've helped with bodies before, but so I was like, okay, I'm pretty cool with this. I'll be pretty cool with this. No, I was not. And it was like it was so gross, but I learned so much. And I also learned about, for instance, when it's in Texas, we have a lot of fire ants, and so fire ants have a tendency to swarm bones and carcasses. And when we talk about that, then we're talking about there's a certain amount of material they eat. And in fact, people will actually clean skulls and bones by putting them on fire ant beds, so that way they clean them up after that, so they can make them into like items and jewelry and stuff, or wall hangings. And then there's also vultures. And how do vultures do it? Oh my gosh. Now, I love vultures because they clean up our roads. They make sure that there's nothing bad out there. But let me tell you something. You really do not want to spend a lot of time watching vultures eat a body. It is just the most disgusting thing. So after looking that up, I was like, I wonder how many lists I'm on now for trying to find out what the hatch rate is for maggots and how many hours have passed after a murder that it would start to do this thing. And so I'm pretty sure that I ended up on a Google list that day.
Oh, that's a funny one. Yeah, I worry about that from time to time when we go digging into the crevices of knowledge, looking for those particular things that might be just a tad bit sensitive for the Google search engine. But with that, let me go ahead and ready our next question, which I think is going to be a real fun one for everybody.
I didn't look at these ahead of time. I have no idea.
And we're going to start off with you then. If your book's main character hosted a dinner party for your other characters, who'd cause the most chaos and why?
I can already tell you, because they have a dinner party. In fact, they have 2 or 3 of them. And the character that causes absolutely the most chaos every time is Rose. She is a chaos agent. The Watcher will cause chaos if there is something bad happening, if there is something trying to kill you, or there's something trying to, shoot you from a distance or whatever. He's going to cause chaos trying to get it. But when good things are happening and wonderful things are taking place, Rose is the one. She is Murphy's Law embodied. She has a tendency to sometimes say the wrong things or do the wrong things, and not by meaning to. She's not evil. She just doesn't really sometimes think about what she's saying and how it might affect other people. And so there's always a certain amount of chaos. The second person that is most likely to cause chaos is a character called Von Helm. He's a little guy, a little buff guy. He's about 5'4", 5'3", 5'4" maximum. Weighs about 180 pounds. He's just pure muscle. Actually, based on my father, who was a little guy. My dad was 5'6", and so I based Von Helm off of him. But Von Helm has a chip on his shoulder and an attitude a mile wide, and he will absolutely whoop anybody that looks at him cross-eyed. And he also is a lover as well as a fighter, which means that he does have his eye on the ladies. So anytime that there's drama, Von Helm is in the mix. So if you have Rose, the Watcher, and Von Helm in the same room, there is going to be a fight. There is going to be a fist fight, or there's going to be somebody start crying, or there's going to be somebody say something that somebody shouldn't have said, and then there will be a problem somewhere. And it's because of their dynamic that it actually makes almost everything exciting, because somebody's going to speak their mind, and when they do, there's going to be heck to pay. And so I've already know my dinner party, what happens. I already know how it's going to go down, and in fact, it's written up in Watcher of the Damned, Caballeros del Camino, if you want the big one. So go for it. It's already in there. Hooray!
Perfect. And you know what I like is your books aren't that expensive either. Were they like $10 tops?
I try to keep them down because I actually know that I thank you for saying that. I have worked really hard to try to keep my books around $10. Some of them are 12. A couple of the really long ones are that. Yeah. Amazon won't let me always bring them down to the.
Yeah. It's the same problem. Yeah.
It's really hard.
We can't even they won't allow us to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they got like a set price. They don't mark past down. Okay.
I'm allowed to do it with my first book on each series. So I've tried to make sure that my books are what people can afford. And if I set up my shop on my, I already got it partially set up on my webpage, my actual freestanding webpage. And if I get to where I can do fulfillment with paperbacks, I will be offering them probably at $10 a piece.
There you go. And like I checked it out. Plenty of cheap literature there. Cheap in price, but not in quality. You get a lot of great quality there. But we're off to you, Black Knight. If your book's main character hosted a dinner party for your other characters, who'd cause the most chaos and why? And you got a very expansive universe, so I'm excited to hear this answer.
So I could say that you have a couple of possibilities. But it all depends on the location, and if someone decides to drop in unannounced on their party. Otherwise, like they will have like some internal chaos, a little bit of chaos, and they will poke fun of each other, but usually they will not like engage in like full-on fisticuffs. So the first one would be awesome, the hamster, because he would probably pull some practical joke on one of them or more of them, or maybe all of them, and depending on the situation, they might try to chase him around, or maybe they might try to feed him something that they know that he will have like gas later or something. This is like because it's going to be a playful joke. It's not going to be something terrible. I mean, he might give them like sweets with I don't know, maybe bits of jalapeno inside, or like
Fun.
Carolina Reaper or something, or maybe he would spike their drinks with like even stronger drinks, which in the case of like some of them they won't even feel it. But
Right
yeah,
now,
but
jalapenos with sweet is awesome.
I know.
Jelly is the bomb.
And the second one would be Mac, maybe if he and Boris they might get into an altercation. They might argue about something, and Boris being the agent of the law and Mac being the space biker, quote unquote anarchist. They usually bicker. Like it's like their everyday thing. Every day, they do this every day. But if they get to like eat and drink a lot, and they discuss stuff, something's gonna happen. Like they will most probably start something. That's a given. And the last one would be the cat. The cat, the spaceship, their spaceship's pet cat, Snark. She might do something. She might bite someone's ankle, or like
Good captain.
hop on their backs or
This
something.
is an intelligent sentient cat.
Yeah, it's a very intelligent cat and very mysterious cat. And in some cases, like they lose time. Certain characters, when they're around Snark, they lose time. It's almost like they're being kidnapped by aliens. There's like the stories about people who are being kidnapped by aliens, and that they have lost time. They think it's like, let's say, the 29th, but it's actually the 31st, or like hours or something. Yeah. And the cat likes to walk around the table sometimes and like push glasses off the table or plates or something, just because she's a cat.
Of course.
Like, aha. And or just taste the food, like just tip the front part, the front of her paw in the soup and taste it, or like snatch a piece of chicken or something else from their plates.
Now, here's my question. What does the scenery look like? Because I'm seeing a bunch of aliens and sentient animals running amok, chuckling about, telling jokes, and just pulling pranks on each other and make a huge mess.
Yeah, it's them. Well, they usually celebrate or like rest in their mess hall, which is towards the front end of the ship, if I remember correctly. It's also where they cook their food. They have like their space kitchen utensils and everything, and they have like the deployable tables, like foldable tables, so they could, like, if they have guests and they want to dance or something, they could fold the tables and use the area. So it's basically it's almost like a diner, like a longish room, where it's also a tall room, because all Terran ships are tall, so they could fit like the 15 feet tall Asgardians. So yeah, they have one Asgardian on the ship. The rest are like pretty much human-sized with some concessions, because the humans of Star Shattered, they're like genetically restored, so they are like, most of them are 2 meters and taller. So yeah, the tables are made of metal, solid metal. The chairs are also made of solid metal, foldable, of course. But otherwise, like, they will, like, when they start like fooling around and joking around and chasing around the like in the mess hall, they might break something. It's not a good thing. But the mess hall, it has games. It has like arcades. If they want, they can play pool or billiards. They have all sorts of board games and stuff.
Classic.
Yeah, it's in the kitchen, of course, you have like these special zero-G ovens and special barbecue with like a force field on top, and a special like bucket like cover, which is made from transparent metal, which is expensive as shit, but since the captain and the crew are they're rich, they can allow themselves to splurge and buy stuff like that.
Very interesting for sure. I'm always interested. That's a fun way to actually introduce a character's world. Like, everybody together. What are they having for dinner? What does the place look like? And that's my question for you, Snow, because yours is post-apocalyptic. Where are they having dinner, and what are they serving?
All right. So, well, this is a little bit of a spoiler. So we have several dinners in Watcher the Dam, because we talked about it before over and over again, that I love food. I'm usually hungry. I don't know why. I was very hungry. I'm basically a hamster. Yeah, I'm basically a hamster. I want to eat something. I'm a hobbit. I have like 2
assorted nuts.
Yes, assorted nuts. I love nuts.
Cashew nuts.
Actually, try to dill cashew. Dill cashews are awesome. But anyhow,
yep.
So like usually, I know, but anyhow, so usually when I'm going through, I say, okay, where would they eat if they're on the run? There's a lot of places you can't cook. There's places that you can't, because that's how you find people in the wilderness. You look for smoke. You actually look for smells of food cooking, because that's not something that's a natural smell in the wilderness. But there's a few places where they've gone where that people were able to sit down and have a feast. The first one was actually at the barbecue in Babe's Blood. It starts in it takes two books to finish. It starts off in at the end of Six Gun Shiva, and in Babe's Blood they actually managed to cook in the ground a calf. And so they have it, but it's a very small group. It's only 3 people and a baby chupacabra. Well, 4 people and a baby chupacabra. And so they have their little barbecue, and there's actually some big character reveals, because how people eat and what they eat is so important, because I have 2 characters that are coming from completely different worlds. They have a completely different worldview. Rose is a vegetarian, almost a vegan. She very passionately believes that animals are cute and lovable, and that we shouldn't eat them, and that it's really hard. And so she doesn't want to hurt them. And she's been raised to believe that it's bad for people to eat meat because it's bad for the planet. The Watcher, on the other hand, has fangs. He's a man. He likes meat. He's not only going to eat meat, he's going to hunt meat. And a lot of their conflict comes from the fact that she absolutely refuses to eat meat, and it's all they've got most of the time. So when they finally get in a place where they can sit down and eat together, and it wasn't at the barbecue because there really wasn't a lot that she could have, she would refuse to eat over and over again. They have a giant dinner party in Caballeros del Camino. There's actually a place where they can get together. And in Caballeros, instead of the Watcher having to go hunting for a calf, which caused a lot of tears on Rose's part because she thought that was just terrible, terrible thing to do, they are going to eat javelina. Now, javelina is not wild hog. Javelina are otherwise known as peccaries. And James, you and I have talked about javelina upon a couple of occasions. And there are indications that javelina were actually used perhaps as domesticated animals in the past, especially in Mesoamerica and with certain Indian tribes. They did roam as far as East Texas, and in fact to the Sabine River. My father saw them when he was a boy. Actually got treated by them a couple of times. They're mean little critters, mean, very mean. They also are adorable. They laugh like little children. Their babies are, looked really cute, and they will absolutely slash you up with their little gnashing tusks. They're pretty much like a Vorpal bunny. Well, one of our characters who is introduced in the second half of the series, books 4, 5, and 6 actually start the urban areas, and we bring in a new set of characters that come in with the Watcher and Rose and our original 4 characters. And when we bring them in, they've all got their own way of doing things. Well, one of those characters actually has a domesticated javelina ranch. He actually has these javelinas out there. He's been growing them. They help hide their smell. They help hide the noise. They hide the traces of human habitation because they root up a lot of plants and they keep things sort of dug up. So he uses them as environmental camouflage, but he also eats them. And so we actually have a recipe for roasted javelina and javelina ham. And it is a real thing. Anybody who's ever hunted javelina will tell you they're the most terrible smelling critters. They have a giant musk gland on them. But like most musk glands, if you know how to skin them right, you can get that gland out and you can actually have this meat, and it's very good, especially in the younger animals. And so they have this enormous, wonderful feast where they have things that they would normally have during the middle of the wilderness. They have some mesquite bread. One of the characters, her name is Amiga. She's actually the caretaker, and she actually makes these wonderful cakes out of a mesquite bread, which is made from the mesquite pods, and they're very sweet and they're very good. She makes that, and she has some other like hams. She has different confectionaries that she's made with the mesquite sugar. They have a little corn on the side that they're able to use. So the things that they've been able to grow, sweet potatoes, things like that are grown in this area and can be grown in a small garden, they now have enough agriculture, they're able to grow those things. Well, there's only one problem, is that Rose is really super hungry. She needs to eat. And she's actually had a very restricted diet because without meat, she's not getting enough vitamin B12. And they actually have a supplement they use back home in Tesoro, but she doesn't have it out in the wilderness. So she's kind of starting to get hungry, but she won't eat because, God bless her heart, Amiga put lard on everything. Now, I don't know if you've had lard. Have y'all ever had lard? Lard is like butter. Lard is tasty.
I haven't tried it personally, but I've seen it around. At least
I've cooked with it. Yeah, I've cooked with it. Back in the day when we didn't have like access to olive oil, we had like some sunflower oil, but it was rare. And oftentimes we had like these, of course, on the black market, these grandmothers and grandparents who were just walking around the market with buckets, like plastic buckets full of lard. You get like a scoop of lard for I forgot how much, but yeah, that's at times that was just what we had. And I think it's much better than the sunflower oil.
It's actually very tasty. And in fact, one of the things that's the most important about lard is the fact that it's actually an analog for butter. It has a lot of the same qualities as butter does. It's a short chain triglyceride, just like butter. It turns brown, just like butter. And it works a lot like butter, which is why some people think it's actually superior for biscuits and rolls and things like that. Well, Amiga put lard on everything, and I mean absolutely everything. And Rose couldn't eat a bite of anything on that table because she refused to do it, because religiously she believes that the animals are sweet and she just can't handle it. But she's learned how to sit next to the Watcher, and he eats and he eats like an absolute animal. He's a very respectable gentleman most of the time, but he does love meat and he will absolutely tuck in. And so it's a cause of a lot of friction. She wants to eat, she won't eat. He'll give her something and she'll be like, I can't eat it, it's got meat in it. And then they just they get her doing it. And they've come to Jesus meeting a couple times because he tells her she's got to eat or she's going to die. Fortunately for her, she's a round little critter. She's not fat, but she's definitely got more bounce to the ounce than a lot of people. She won't starve to death anytime soon, but she's going to have to come to an understanding. She's got to eat something. And that's part of her whole story, is the fact that even though she knows that the things she was raised up with were false, and it was just all a big man-made religion designed to make everybody worship Gaia and be, climate change activists, she still believes it, and she's grown up with these things, and she just can't bring herself to do it differently. So she actually has these recipes, and this is based in part on a real life experience I've had. I'm actually very highly allergic to dairy. I probably told you this once before. I'm actually allergic to casein. Because I was a premature infant, they gave me cow's milk when I was born because they thought they could do that. It nearly killed me. I had an immature gut. I was born at 28 weeks. And now my body, for all my life, has thought that milk is something that's going to kill me. So I will have an anaphylactic reaction. I'll actually stop breathing. My blood pressure will drop. I've lived this way all my life. Everything in the world that is good has butter in it. It has butter, milk, it has cream. Non-dairy creamer has dairy in it. They're lying to you. Everything has milk. It's amazing how much things have milk. And so I've done a lot of research on how to make things without butter or without, and lard is how I found that. So they're living in a world where milk doesn't occur as often. There is some milk, there's some cows, and people know how to milk them. But so a lot of the recipes they're using are actually recipes that I've looked up trying to find things that I could eat that didn't have butter in it. And Rose's experience as a person who just doesn't want to eat the animals because they're so adorable and we can't do that to that poor baby pig. She's experiencing a lot what I've experienced, where I've actually sat at tables that were laden with food and didn't dare eat because I knew I might die. And so I just watch, because no matter what somebody says, I'll make you something, they're going to get it wrong. And I'm like, you know what, y'all eat. I'll just sit and watch. I'll just sit and watch and enjoy you eating. And that's really what I do. But so the recipes that are on the tables in Watch with the Damned are real recipes. They're ones that I've actually researched myself. They're game recipes that have been tested and put out there on the internet. And actually, I usually have a YouTube that will be associated with them. And I've actually linked to some of them in some of the books. And I may actually make a Watch with the Damned cookbook. Those recipes are real. And yes, javelina can be cooked. You just have to know what you're doing. And when you're skinning it, don't you dare touch that musk gland or you're not going to be able to eat that meat.
Dang. Now that sounds like it'll be one heck of a dinner and one heck of a world. And I actually do really like how both of you added the culinary elements, because that actually is a big portion of everyday life that many books actually sort of just fly by. So it's nice to see that. Now, off to our next magnificent question. What's one scene you wrote that made you laugh out loud or cry while writing it, and what was going on in your life at the time? Black Knight dropped out. I'm sure he'll rejoin us momentarily. You might have heard my little pooch here. But go ahead, Snow. I know you got some good scenes in your literature.
Well, okay, so it goes back actually to the food. Rose, and there's several that I've laughed out loud after I read them because I was just like, dude, this is just so classic. I can't get over it. Rose is actually, she's refusing to eat. She's the Watcher had come up with something he thought would work. He came up with a thing they like to call amarita. It's actually bone marrow pudding, but it has vitamin B12 in it. And she needs that vitamin B12. And he went out of his way to get this stuff. He went out of this way to make sure that he had plenty of it. Rose ain't going to eat it. He actually handed it off to her. He's like, you've got to eat. We've got to sit down and eat. He'll catch a fish. He'll go do things. And she just turns up her nose at everything. And he's getting frustrated. So he went out of his way to find this wonderful paste that this other character made for her. And it's actually made from a real recipe that's called bone marrow pudding. It was delicious. It was tasty. It was creamy and sweet and everything else. And when she found out what it was, she absolutely spat it out. She refused to eat it. She wouldn't have anything to do with it. And he kind of tried to trick her with it. So maybe she had a reason. But he sits her down and says, you're going to eat this because we got to stay alive. And I don't have time to deal with you right now. And she fed it to Oscar, the chupacabra. And I actually have done this in my own life. And I realized that was probably the wrong thing to do because my mom made something special for me and I hated it. So I fed it to my dog. And she does this for him. And when he tells her, you can't just be this way to me. You're just being a brat. She steals his hat and climbs up in a tree and then starts beating him with pears, just starts throwing pears at this poor man. She loves the fact that he's not really going to ever hurt her. He's going to gripe and growl and do everything else, but she pushes her luck really hard in this one scene because she is having so much fun stealing his hat and enjoying life and chunking pears at him, and she's eating them and chunking at the same time. And I remember doing this. I won't say to who, because it wasn't not something I'm going to confess to online. But to be there in that situation again, where I'm sitting in the top of the tree and chunking pears at a person, and they're like getting madder and madder, and all the whole time they can't get me. There's no way you can get me. It's like I'm up in the tree. You're not going to get here. And I just laughed and laughed at that situation because I've been there, and it was like funny to me. And all at the same time, I was like, man, I got to call this person. I mean, probably apologize to them. I'm not going to do it. And laughing at her, she's constantly saying stuff that makes me laugh. She's a funny character. Watcher is kind of her straight man. Rose will say something funny. Occasionally he'll say something funny, but it's totally unintentional. He's not usually a guy that laughs too much. If he laughs, you know you're in trouble. If he laughs, you're probably fixing to get killed. And so he's not a cheery person. Roxanne Rose is a very cheerful person. She's kind of the person that wants to, smile and laugh at the time and do something funny or go look at a bug or whatever. She's going to do those things because she can. And so she's the person that makes he would secretly laugh at her if he would let himself, but he's not going to. So I've laughed hard at that. And so that's that scene where she's up in the tree just pelting him with pears. It was actually a memory. And I was trying not to Mary Sue it, but it was a memory I had, and I was like, "This is so great!" And I know this guy, and I know this other little person very well, and it was easy. It was easy to laugh during that scene.
Hey ho, very funny. Some of the scenes that you really pull from your own memory, they become some of the either the funnest, the saddest, or just the best to really hit that emotional edge. But Black Knight. Oh, go ahead.
Want to talk about laughing first, or do you want to talk about the crying part?
Oof. Either or, whichever one floats your boat.
Do you want to? We'll do his laughing one, then we'll come back to the crying one because I don't want to derail laughing because it's easy to cry. It's not. Go ahead, laugh first. Let's laugh.
The Black Knight. Thank you for rejoining us. We have a question for you. What's one scene you wrote that made you laugh out loud or cry while writing it? And what was going on in your life at the time?
Well, the funny scene perhaps was in the third book, where Boris and Mac are going to an asteroid, which is like the archetypical den of scum and villainy, and Boris being the agent of the law and Mac being the so-called sanctioned criminal and an anarchist and a space biker. Each of them, they want to do what the other don't want them to do, but they have they have a mission. They have a mission given to them by the captain. And I was laughing probably throughout the entire writing process. I was like, I had to stop because every part of that specific scene in a nightclub. No, the first scene was funnier when they actually land on the asteroid, and they meet with a criminal and a gang of criminals, and the gangsters attempt to rob them, and I think I laughed to tears. As for what was happening back then, I think I was one of my friends was he just had a child born, and I was like I think we had like we'd been partying like for 2 days after the fact, and I just like came back from the party as I sat on the like behind the keyboard and I wrote this.
There you go, man. And you know what? Frankly, I think your stories are really full of great emotion and imagination, and that also bleeds through your poems. Here's a quick side question: have you written any interesting ones you'd like to share for us today?
Sadly, today I wasn't able to write anything, pretty much, because I was feeling exhausted, mentally exhausted, and physically exhausted. So sadly, nothing new today. But recently, I wrote. Give me a second. If I can find it, I think I can find it. I wrote a tanka, which should be was it here? Yeah, I think it's here. I wrote it for one of the posts that I saw. Oh, I think it was like something about no, I can't find it. Yeah, I can. Oh, wait, I forgot. Was it here? No, it wasn't here. You know, I think I was not able to save it.
Well, you can definitely hunt it down for future podcasts as well. We'll have to make a note of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably I'll find it like when I'm not looking for it.
Right? That's when everything else just pops out of nowhere. It's like, oh, I needed you a couple of months ago, but I guess you'll do for now. But with that, we got further questions to indulge yourselves with. Let's start off with you, Black Knight. If you could steal one character, setting, or plot twist from another author's book, what would it be and how would you use it?
I would steal Aragorn. And
classic.
Yes, I would steal Aragorn. I think I had this conversation with a couple of friends who were even greater fantasy and sci-fi nerds than me, and we were talking about the then like beginning Star Shattered universe, and they would ask me like, how would different heroes from other books, other settings fare in my universe, and someone asked about Aragorn, and I think we ended drinking like two cases of beer and talking over 8 hours about Aragorn, and how would Aragorn utilize his knowledge, his leadership, and his skills in Star Shattered. So basically, what we ended up figuring out with lots of like, I had to read a bunch of notes on my older computer back then, so that I was correct about everything. Basically, Aragorn will have no issues, absolutely no issues. He will most probably be recruited by one of the Terran organizations, because he, as we know, he has great leadership skills. He's also a healer, and he's a great swordsman, and also he has great survival skills. Yeah, basically a ranger. So he would most probably become either part of the Morale Officer Corps, which is probably the best place for him, or he would become a general of the colonial militia. And as in both cases, he would be an exceptional hero, an exceptional character. Probably
Aragorn in space.
Yeah. Probably I would lean on to more like it's like the morale officer angle, because he's a gifted speaker. He would probably love the Terran word, the credo of the morale officers, and it's almost like as if it was written for him. It's created
nice.
for him.
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't, but
Just a shoe in.
Who knows?
Fun, right? A little wink and a nod there. But off to you, R.H. Snow. I'm sure you had a little time to think about this,
Yeah,
or maybe you'll answer
I
this
found the
question.
poem.
I want to go back.
I found the poem.
Oh, do you want to read your poem first? Because that'll lead into mine.
Yeah.
Sad poem.
After you.
Go ahead. Go read your poem. You want to read your poem?
Okay, so this one was written after I watched something which was about people who are protesting, and they didn't even know what were they protesting against. Some journalist asked them, like, I think it was a YouTuber who asked them, like, what are you doing here? And they're like, yeah, we hate this thing, we hate the thing, and but why? And it's like you get the blank stares and everything. So it is it is not a haiku, it's a tanka, like the longer form. So it goes like this: fat on delusions, fools, they live an illusion. Generous saviors and masters of everything, all slaves of their own making.
Ooh, that's nice.
The haiku.
Sometimes I wish I would write more haiku, but every time lately I end up writing a tanka because it's longer.
Mm-hmm. What's the major difference there? Is it just length?
It's the older form. It's the older poetic form of the. It's basically the father of the haiku. You mean the haiku? You have like the three lines. 5-7-5. In the tanka is like 5-7-5-7-7.
Okay, interesting. It's got a little science behind that.
The more ancient version. And by the way, if you played the game that Ghost of Tsushima game, you're not composing a haiku, you're basically composing a tanka.
Okay, do they get them mixed up in that game? Like they call it a haiku?
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Just one of them things, I suppose. But
I didn't know it. It was like a Japanese friend of mine told me.
Yeah, when you try to write for separate cultures, sometimes, there it goes. But all right, Snow,
Yeah.
I know that you got a fun answer to this one. If you could steal one character, setting, or plot twist from another author's book, what would it be and how would you use it?
I would steal the entire cast of Jack Vance's Dying Earth. I'm serious. I would take this whole group of people. They're all the most fatalistic, nihilistic people, and yet they have a joy within them. Sais, the main one of the main female protagonists, is very has sees the world through this very dim view. She has a very twisted view of the earth, and yet she experiences it through the eyes of other people in such a way that you can't help but rooting for her. They're so dark in their thinking because in fact Jack Vance's Dying Earth, that entire world is passing away. It is highly influential in the book Watcher of the Dam because we have the earth itself is not dying, but humanity is. And so we have this beautiful earth with the people on it that humanity as a creature is rolling towards extinction. Well, in the Dying Earth, all of the earth is dying, and so they have this very fatalistic viewpoint, and yet there is a joy. Cultural the Clever is the magicians. They actually have this beauty about them. The way they love to see everyone, to being able to just enjoy what is left of their lives and the things that are around them. There is a hope in it that when you know something's happening and you can't stop it, but you can still grasp each day as if it is the next best thing that's going to happen to you. Yes, there's still joy in the ending of something. There's still beauty in the passing of greatness. There's still life in death. And so when I look at this book, the entire cast of characters, and the way that they approach it, they don't save their earth from passing. They don't save their earth from dying. They wish there was a way to do it, but it's actually the sun is dying itself. They're not going to be able to stop the sun. The sun is petering out. It's rolling towards extinction. And so they instead embark on the adventures that are in front of them and in the way that they handle this world. Um, and because of that hopefulness and because of that glorious entropy that occurs in aging and the going through life itself to go as we go towards aging and things start to fall off or fall apart or anything else, there has to be this sense of adventure about it, this sense of wonder. It's not just, oh, the earth is young and beautiful and things are growing. Sometimes things are rolling towards an end that we don't want. We still have to embrace the beauty of it. And so Jack Vance's Dying Earth, I think every character that's in that book has something worthy. I would steal that entire group of people. I would stick them right over in my world and I'd be like, hey, I'm going to take these with me and going to make sure that I have them in my books.
Oh.
I have homages actually to them, and each one of them, they're not taken entirely whole cloth, but they're homages to each one of the major characters in Jack Vance's Dying Earth, and they do show up in Watcher of the Damned. If you know what the characters sound like and look like, there is an archetype for each one, and that personage does show up in Watcher of the Damned.
Okay, very nice. Great endorsement. I've heard of this series, or at least the title, but I haven't really dug into it. So that's a pretty good endorsement. But with that, we have, which may be our last question here. Type it in and hit the thing. We'll start off with you, Black Knight. What's the most ridiculous piece of writing advice you've ever gotten, and how did you ignore it?
Well, so many. Well, one of the most ridiculous pieces of writing advice was to actually make the voices of alien characters not unique, and that was like it was given to me by someone who was asking for money was supposed to be someone who is a guru, like a writer guru, teacher, and they would say, yeah, it's like kill the uniqueness of your characters. They should they should sound like sound and act more uniform. And I was like, no, fuck off.
No, thank you. They
No,
fine.
fuck
They're
off.
fine.
It's like your character should sound the same. They should act pretty much the same. So why have different characters?
Right.
And his so-called logic was that having a lot of characters who are unique and they have a different voice, they have different motivations and this and that, all of the things that our readers want to see in their character cast. That was actually, according to him, that was confusing. Supposedly that would confuse the reader. It's confusing the reader.
Mustn't think much of his own readers.
I have no fucking idea.
No. Well, hopefully that you just kind of thank you and walked off. Was that how you kind of ignored it?
I think I thanked him and said that I would like recommend him to my other writer friends, and I just warned them. Warned them about it.
Lovely advice. But off to you, R.H. Snow. In your writer's journey, what's the most ridiculous piece of writing advice you've ever gotten, and how did you ignore it?
This is easy. Okay. The part where we're supposed to never use an adverb. Whoever thought this up, it's on X. All of a sudden, we weren't supposed to use adverbs, or we weren't supposed to describe it, especially adverbs. Adverbs are a part of English. We use them. We do things slowly sometimes. Sometimes we actually do things in such a way that we have to describe how we are doing it, and that's how we use an adverb. Now, when they're abused and he did it slowly, surely, methodically, every single time, yes, it gets a little tiresome. People don't want to hear that every time, but that is absolutely the most ridiculous writing advice, and how I ignore it is I just write what I want. Now, granted, I have read a lot of books. I've read books that are 200 years worth of information and of authors writing, from all the way back from Don Quixote through Mark Twain, up through Hemingway and the newer authors, Langston Hughes, and poetry and everything else. Read what you like and write in that method. Learn from the best and ignore the worst. The idea that we are somehow supposed to suddenly stop writing with a particular part of English language is ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense, and we should absolutely ignore everything about it. If you speak that way normally, then you can write that way. Now, there's things you want to do to make sure that your writing isn't boring. If you wrote like you spoke all the time, there would be a lot of well, maybe, and it doesn't always help. If you have that in your writing, it slows it down. On the other hand, if you are speaking and you are speaking with language that you have learned since your birth, and nobody has absolutely smacked you upside the head for having terrible English, then you can probably use the forms that you have used in your writing. And I think that we are hearing these latest bits of writing advice that are being given out by people who simply have nothing better to do. The latest one, besides adverbs, is that we're not supposed to use em dashes, or because AI uses it.
Yeah. I've noticed that, and you know what? I predicted that.
AI uses it because of us. No.
I predicted that almost a year in advance when I noticed that AI had a lot of em dash, And then lo and behold, we're here.
Yes, we're here. Well, the reason why is because it's training off of people. If we stop doing things because somebody might think that we're using AI, then we're not going to speak at all, because AI is going to use more and more of the forms that people use. And so that's absolutely, once again, terrible advice. Don't do it because somebody might think you're AI. Write as if you are a human, speak as if you are a human. And if somebody says, "Did you use AI?" then pull out your manuscript and show them. And if you keep if you keep finished, manuscripts, I save several versions of mine, and this is how I do it. So I actually have a first version of it. I have the earliest versions that I've written. I've had the changes that I've made. And as a result, people can go, "Nah, there's no way you did that," because there's too many mistakes. I've started leaving my stuff in there. It's like leaving typos in, so I know it's me. There's always going to be terrible writing advice. Remember that people who are telling you this thing because they want you to do it are usually looking for some easy way to capitalize on what they're doing. And so when you hear these little snippets where suddenly everyone's telling you not to use adverbs, or suddenly everyone's telling you not to use em dashes, how about we suddenly just ignore those people and go ahead and write the way we're going to go, and they'll come up with something later. You can't keep up with it. Just ignore all comers and write what you need to write. Do your very best with the craft you have, and try to give everyone your best product. And if it means using adverbs or em dashes, like I just used, then maybe you should, because you can do it slowly and surely, and describe a beautiful scene for these.
And a lot of these types of advice, particularly on the social medias, they're really produced by those who ultimately have something to sell. You follow them enough, see where this advice is coming from. Maybe there's a YouTube video attached. I got a dog playing with plastic here. Maybe there's a YouTube video attached. And usually you find someone with a book trying to sell and start a conversation, get themselves in the middle of it. That's what I often seen in the midst of all that kind of stuff. But we all run into a lot of it. I think we may have time for a few more questions, maybe. But here's another fun one. If you had to live in the world of one of your books, which would you choose, and what's the first thing you'd do there? We'll start off with you, Black Knight.
Which one? Of course, I'd choose Star Shutter. And what's the first thing I'd do there? I'll just open a starship and fly off to Mars. And probably I would, for the first maybe couple of months, I will just travel across Mars and soak up the culture and arrest my mind, and knowing Mars as I know it, and how it was terraformed, and where pretty much the most colorful destinations are. That's the very first thing I'll do. I'll go immediately there. That's it. That's
Mission to Mars.
Yeah, it's like maybe I'll even try working for like one of the buffalo herders, which they have these large machines, large vehicles, multi-wheeled vehicles, very tall, like the giant trucks in the mines, the strip mines, where the wheels are like twice as tall as a human. I guess I'm guessing you both seen them, these giant trucks. So these vehicles, they in the beginning of the terraforming process, they were the moving terraforming laboratories. Pretty much, they would move around the surface of Mars, and they would plant small patches of forests. They would infuse the soil with microbes, and they would release bugs and etc. etc. And now they're using them for buffalo herding. They're like portable Baranchos.
Martian buffalo herding. Now that sounds exciting. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
they're famous for that.
Martian buffalo. And I want to taste that over a barbecue. But we're heading off to your world in post-apocalyptia down there, R.H. Snow. If you had to live in one of the worlds of your books, which would you choose, and what's the first thing you do there?
Well, let's see. First of all, I've got there's two sides to the world. There's the side of life before and life after. I'm actually writing a deeper dive into life before right now, which is highly technological, and it's reflected in the world of Tesoro. And the world of Tesoro is actually beautiful in many ways. There's a reveal about it that I won't go into in a spoiler, but it's actually very beautiful, and so many lovely things about it.
Nice.
Air conditioning, they have running water, they have peach ice cream, they have all those wonderful things. They also have heavy surveillance. As a result, if I had to choose between my worlds, even though Tesoro is safe and beautiful and lovely, it is also highly regulated and carries some very dark secrets, because anytime anyone carries that much power over other human beings, when there is no privacy or no rights, then you have, no matter how beautiful that is, it still can be a terrible place. So I would much prefer to be in the wildlands of Texas, and actually, much like my own life in some cases where I've done some primitive camping, that as much as the danger is there, as much as you have these terrible monsters sometimes and these terrible diseases and everything, there is a freedom in the wildlands that doesn't exist anywhere else in Watcher of the Damned. They're able, because they're escaping towards danger, those who are too weak to want to do that will stay behind. And as a result, those who can are able to survive in that wild and dangerous freedom. And it's an allegory for freedom. Freedom is dangerous. Freedom is a terrible place sometimes. We make wrong choices. The monsters that we run into in freedom actually are based on our own demons, the things that we would do if we were allowed to do anything we wanted. Without the governing constraints of an overlord, what do people become? How do they act? It turns out we have to govern ourselves. We have to tame our own demons. We have to tame our own wilderness, our own monsters. And when we do, we ride that fence between freedom and control. And so, Watcher of the Damned, Wildlands, I love it because not only is it a beautiful world of nature and glorious, plants and birds and animals, it's also a world of the dichotomy of freedom, that danger that is inherent in deciding you are going to trust other people to govern themselves, and the need for justice when they do not govern themselves properly. Self-accountability versus accountability from others makes it a dangerous and cruel place sometimes, but it's also incredibly beautiful. So even though Tesoro and the colonies of the insiders are beautiful and civilized and have air conditioning, I would still choose the terrible haunted wildlands over any of it, especially the deep wildlands where they're free.
Yeah, freedom or safety, which is it going to be?
Dangerous freedom or oppressive safety.
Right? Well, all right, now let's off to our next question here. This one's a fun one. I can't wait to hear your guys' answer for this one.
Oh,
We'll start off with Black Knight. If your book was turned into a movie, who's the dream actor to play your protagonist, and who'd be the worst possible casting choice?
Well, now I may not have like a full cast set for all of the characters. I think for Alice, it was like an actress that played an android recently in some horror movie. Was it a horror movie? Megan, was it? I didn't watch it. I just saw like the poster. But she looks she looks like she has like the skill and the face to play like a doll-like character, which is she would fit Alice. As for maybe some of the main characters like Captain Anitsa, oof, that's a hard choice. It has to be someone probably with like very fluid British accent. Maybe Henry Cavill, but he'll have to wear like ear prosthetics and a wig, maybe. But it's quite possible. He has the language skills to pull it off.
How about the worst casting choices?
The worst casting choices? Oh boy. Huh. The worst casting choices, maybe. Oh boy, that's too many. Who was that? That guy, Johnny Depp. Well, Johnny Depp in his like younger years, when like the first Pirate of the Caribbean came out, he would play. He would be good to play the captain. Well, probably without the swing and like, because he's in space. He was never under like heavy sunshine. But as far as bad choices, maybe for some, like for one of the female roles, and let's say Lizzo, or what was that other actress which was supposedly cast in like a science fiction? Jennifer Lopez. Yeah,
Jennifer Lopez, worst casting.
She's terrible. She can't act to save her life.
Funny there, right? J-Lo in one of your movies. It's like that the producers won't give you
Over my dead body.
Like it's J-Lo or nothing, son. But off to you, RH No. What's the best casting? What's the worst casting?
So I've already thought this over really super hard, and I'm telling you right now that I would actually, I have been lobbying, praying to Jesus that he sees it, that Danny Trejo will play the Watcher, because he's Machete, and Machete's just bad.
Oh, God.
So freaking cool. I want Danny Trejo to play the Watcher. I want to bring back Ricardo Montalban from the dead so he can play Dominic. Because whenever I hear Dominic speak, I hear Ricardo Montalban. It's maybe a little less. He's more Texan. I would love to see Clint Eastwood actually playing. Even though people think, I would love to see him play Evangelo. A younger Clint Eastwood would be great. So I'm bringing back these people, just going to like AI, and inhabit them and pay their estates to let me use them. I cannot think of a good analog for Rose. Rose is so little; it's really hard to find a character that looks like her. There's people that act like her. Betty Hutton famously acted a lot like Rose in some ways from dang it, There's No Business Like Show Business. Annie Get Your Gun. It's probably the closest thing. Or when you had Judy Garland, probably in her younger years, they're close, but they don't look like her. So it would be really hard. But that sort of ingenue energy and golly gee kind of attitude is great, and it isn't really seen in female actors of this day and age. She's not the femme fatale. She can look pretty. She can evidently does very well with that. She has a sexy side, but it's her upbeat nature that makes her more likely to be the hardest one to cast. And the worst possible person that you could cast for her would be a femme fatale, J-Lo or somebody like that. That's very, very sexy. That has that hard edge to them. That would be a catastrophe for Rose. She is a beautiful woman. She is a very small woman, and she has an attitude that is hard to describe in today's crop of actresses. I don't see this character very often of the happy warrior as a female character. She frequently writes checks that are too big for her body to cash. She's not able to get things done sometimes the way she thinks she can get them done, but she has a never say die attitude and spirit. And combining that with her own sensual nature and sexuality, and yet there's an innocence there. It's really hard to think of a good actress to play her. And so for me, that's a really is casting for her. It almost, I would have to literally see that kind of personality come back as a female archetype. And right now we really don't see it of the comedic female archetype, the romantic comedy.
Oh, okay.
It's really hard. She is the
That's
wrong.
true.
She is the great.
Yeah, we have the boss babes who are boring as hell.
Well, that's the thing. They have a certain kind of archetype and they go for it. They've done a good job with the female warrior. Sarah, probably the best versions of these are Ripley from Aliens and Sarah Connor from the Terminator series.
Yeah, but they weren't they were realistic. They weren't obnoxious.
Yeah, they weren't girl boss in that respect. They were warriors. And I've seen those women. I've had them in my family. I'm not one of them. I don't do that. I'm not the kind of person that can go and do those things. And so I've got a more intimate knowledge of that romantic comedian, of that sexy innocence that still sees the joy in the world and still is willing to fight for it. And that archetype I'd have to see it in a female actress, and I just haven't seen it. And even then, of course, casting her, you pretty much have to do like we did with Rice Davies, where you just show her from like above or something, because getting a person that's under 4'11", we used to have several actresses that were small. Mary Martin was small. Judy Garland was 5'1". We don't see them anymore. They're all 5'6", 5'7", taller women. There are very few out there that are smaller. I think there's a couple. I think Sabrina Carpenter, maybe a couple of them that are shorter. Sydney Sweeney might not be that tall, but usually they're in that taller edge, and they all sort of carry that same vibe. So I think it would be really hard to pick Rose. I don't know who I would ever pick for her, but I think anything short of a perfect fit would be a disaster, because she is a very hard character to play unless you know that character.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, they're really obsessed with the more like boss girl types right now. But our stream is coming to an end, and we want to respect everyone's time, and glad you decided to spend it with us. Go ahead, give us a like, give us a subscription down below, and a comment if you're a part of the replay crew down there. But Black Knight, where can people find you, man? And what are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on a couple of projects. First and foremost is the 8th installment of the Star Shutter series. And then you have the current Patreon story, which is about an real Italian from Star Shutter, not like the real Italians from our Earth, who actually looks like Nicolas Cage, for reasons. And special reasons. And the current Province of Terrence, Vote Your Adventure novella for my Substack Sci-Friday posts. And where you can find me, of course, you can find me on Substack, Substack.com.
Nice.
Or on Amazon, where you can grab any of my Star Shutter books, and the brand new shadow fantasy book, Lord of Bones.
Ooh.
Excellent. Plenty of literature for everybody to dig into, that's for sure. And weekly. Is it weekly updates? You release weekly?
Yeah. Sometimes daily.
Whoa, sometimes there's plenty to follow there, folks. If you're definitely looking to continuously consume some great content. But RH Snow, where can people find you and what are you working on?
Well, you can find me at watchofthedam.com where I have all my books up there. I have my podcast, the mini podcast, which is the first nine episodes of the first book. And I'm hopeful to get that finished. And I've been talking with you, James, and everybody else. And it's just getting a place to record it, trying to figure out where to do that. And once I get that done, that'll be great. And so we're working on that end of it, and also working on my next book, which is Hellbelly Highway, which should be out before the end of the year. And I also have a secret project that I'm working on, which is based on the world of Life Before, and will be feeding into Watcher of the Damned. And I will definitely be getting that in front of people as I finish out my series. I should have it actually out, I hope, as a submission this next week, actually.
Nice.
And so I will be getting that out for you guys. And yeah, look for me on Amazon where you can find me, or at flow.page/rhsnow, the flow.page/rhsnow, where you can find all my socials.
Perfect. And thank each and every single one of you for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves here. Come back next week, same exact time. We'll be running for about an hour and a half, as we always do. Go ahead, leave questions in the comment section if you're rewatching this, and we'll hopefully get back to them. And who knows, we might actually answer them live on stream. But with that, we are out of here, everybody. Give us a like, share it with your friends, but we got to hit the road. Bye-bye now.